This trail very well may be the most popular trail in Moab, Utah. It's very close to town, challenging in a fun way, and amazingly scenic. If you only have time for one difficult trail, this is the one that you want to do.
When most people think of Moab, Utah, they think of the insane off-road trails, the slick rock, the amazing overland routes, the awesome scenery. This one trail encompasses all of those things. My name is Scott. This is Trail Expedition. Come join me as I take on Hell's Revenge. Heading up Hell's Revenge. This is probably the most iconic trail in Moab. The very beginning of it starts with this fin that ascends pretty decently high up. It's relatively narrow. Overall, not too bad. Having that forward-facing camera on this trail is going to be very advantageous to have.
Beating the sun to the trailhead at 0700 hours. I wouldn't want it any other way.
So we just dropped off from that first fin right after you get into Hell's Revenge. It's very narrow in that spot. I mean, it's not horribly narrow, it was fine. But, you know, it's a good entrance point to kind of build up to what's coming next. We did reset our tripometer at the beginning of the trail. That way we can track the trail with the FunTreks book. This book I highly recommend for doing any of the trails in Moab. So definitely check it out. I'll have the link in the description if you guys want to look at it. So I think this area in the book, they call it Lake Michigan. I guess you could stay left or right here. We're going to stay right. And I guess after a good rain, this spot can flood. And I guess it can get relatively deep. It's pretty rocky in here to start. We haven't really scraped on anything, so I guess not too bad. Going back up this little slick rock. Front camera definitely helpful there. A little scraping on the back end there. Let's see if I can get my driver's side tire up on this first before my bumper hits. And then ride this on up. Yeah, not a problem. So yeah, when you're coming to obstacles like that, if you can get a tire up on it first, that's the main thing. You know, sometimes your front bumper will be your limiting factor, but if you can come in on obstacles on an angle and get a tire up on it first, you know, it's going to be a lot better for you. So we're out here extremely early in the morning. I mean, we actually pulled in the parking lot when it was still dark. It's just after 7 o'clock right now. It's February, so it's like 40, maybe 30 something degrees out. It's pretty chilly out this morning. But honestly, February is a great time to go out here, I feel like, just because the trails aren't really all that busy. You're not waiting in a huge long line to run these trails. And the hotels are much cheaper, so that is a huge advantage. Pretty bumpy in this area. I did air down about 18 psi on all my tires. It smooths out the ride a little bit. Would I like to go lower? Yes, but these are the stock wheels, OEM wheels, and they're not bead locks, and last thing I want to do is lose a bead out here. So I feel like 18 is kind of the sweet spot. All right, looks like we're going back uphill.
Hell's Revenge is rated as a difficult trail. The trail features several large ledges that cannot be bypassed. There are numerous narrow sections along slick rock fins. And let's not forget about the optional extreme obstacles. Hell's Gate, Mickey's Hot Tub, the Escalator, and Tip Over Challenge. These obstacles will put the driver and vehicle to the ultimate test. So these giant fins that you're going up and over, I know they look dramatic, and they are steep. However, they're very manageable just because I feel like there's a ton of grip out on these rocks. Wow, this one's really steep. This one's a 25, 26, 27, 29. That was just about a 30-degree pitch coming down that one. This little section, I think I saw a 24-degree roll is the highest. Doesn't feel great, but the Jeep is taking it, no problem. Just staring at the blue sky again. 28 degrees. It's a 20-degree roll right there. This one's a off camber downhill. $30 right there. But even being extremely steep, like I said, in the Gladiator, it just feels so stable just because it's so long. It's funny, you see some of these climbs out here and you're like, the vehicle shouldn't be allowed to go up that. And it does, or at least a Jeep does anyway. That's why you guys should probably just buy a Jeep. As I ventured further into the trail, signs for Hell's Gate started to pop up, which obviously caused my heart to race with anticipation. All right, so right around the 2-mile mark, come to a challenging spot. I think we're gonna go lockers on this one. It looks like there is a bypass over to the right, but the harder line doesn't look horrible, but we'll find out. Ooh, we got it. Big bump right on the end just because the breakover angle not great on this vehicle, but walked right up it. So at mile marker 2.1, 2.2, right around there. It does split off left or right. It says left is the main trail and then the right is the bypass. I looked at it. Honestly, this obstacle doesn't look all that bad, so we're staying on the main trail. All right guys, so we're at the split in the trail, or if you go left, it's the main trail, and if you go right, that takes you out to the river overlook and Hell's Gate. That's one of the iconic obstacles out on Hell's Revenge. I want to give it a go. Obviously, I want to look at it first and make sure I'm not gonna die doing it, but
I don't know, it just seems like one of those iconic things that you have to do if you're gonna do Hell's Revenge. So we're gonna stay straight, we're gonna take a look at that, and then we'll loop back around, come back this way, and then get back on the main trail. So we're at the very top of Hell's Gate, which we need to go straight to go down and then head back up. But since we're here at the top, I believe this is the top of it here, I just want to get out and take a quick look at it. I mean, I've seen it hundreds of times in videos. Like I said, videos always make things look easier than what they are in actual real life. So let's take a quick look. Okay, it's definitely a V-notch. I mean, in the videos, obviously, you can tell it's a V-notch as well, but it definitely looks more of a V-notch in person. So all the videos I've seen, you want to stay high on the passenger side over here. And if you don't, you could fall back down, which kind of puts your side into that wall, which I've seen people drive up that way and have no issues, but it's more advantageous to keep your passenger side tire on that wall. You know what? We're here. Let's at least put tires on it.
This is the Hell's Gate obstacle in its entirety. One take and unclipped.
All right, here goes. Dropping into Hell's Gate. So the drop in on Hell's Gate is pretty gnarly as well. So I'm just gonna take it slow. And the best advice I can give you is just follow the black tire marks. Passenger side should be coming down. It's a 30 degree pitch there. It's pretty steep. It's just all pitch here though, really no roll, maybe 2 to 3 degree roll, so it's pretty flat. It's just you're looking straight down. Between 25 and 30 degrees consistently coming down that. Whew, overall not too bad. Like I said, it just feels really stable in the Gladiator. All right, now making the turn. All right, we're staring down Hell's Gate, or staring up it, I should say. Okay, so for low, I am going to drop it back down into first gear for this climb, and I am going to engage lockers. So first gear, front and rear locker is on, and then the sway bar is disconnected. All right, let's see what we got. Consistent throttle, staying in it, splitting the gap. It's a crazy climb, that's for sure. Woo! The Gladiator walked it. Man, I love this Jeep. All right guys, for as freaky as that climb looks from the top, it looks way more intimidating from up top. When you get to the bottom, not so much. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still not an easy climb. Traction's not the issue, it's almost getting into your own head. You know, it's very doable. It's just, I feel like a lot of people probably flip, or because people do flip on that obstacle. Where they get in trouble is they slow down, they get in their own head, they freak out, and then that's when accidents happen. Good throttle control, you want to stay on the throttle the entire time, you really don't want to let up. And then if you could split that gap going up and keep your passenger side tire up on that wall area so you don't fall down into it, that's the best option. I have seen videos where people do fall off that wall and they still climb out no problem, but you know, you come down pretty hard. So the way I did it is the way to do it. Awesome, awesome obstacle. All right, now we just got to get back to the main loop and continue on. We are all done with the Hell's Gate detour, and now we're back on the main trail. All right, so we just turned back onto the main trail, and now we're heading up more slick rock. I'll pop up this little climb here. We'll scrape on the bottom. It's funny, after you do something like Hell's Gate, these regular fins are like nothing. It's like a relatively steep drop with a left-hand turn on the bottom. I go back down into first. Let the gearing do all the braking for us. See that drop coming. Didn't think it was that big. Looks like we're going up another fin. .25 and pretty decent climb right here. All right, looks like more fins. Looks like we'll be on some fins for quite a while. Yep, that's my tailgate. Or not my tailgate, my hitch. Whew. That one was a big scrape.
My confidence soared after conquering such an iconic obstacle with relative ease. It was time to navigate through the remainder of this amazing trail.
There's like a little bit of a, almost like a V-notch. Honestly, you could probably stay hard left and not do the notch, but we're gonna do it. It doesn't look too bad. Yeah, up and over it.
I was quickly approaching Mickey's hot tub, which is an obstacle that I didn't feel super confident with being in a long wheelbase Gladiator, so I did decide to bypass this one. So I have seen gladiators do this. I have seen gladiators do this and break axles. Basically, it's just a drop in and then a climb out. It's probably just long enough to fit a gladiator in there from nose to tail end. Yeah, not gonna be doing the hot tubs. So this spot's called Dragon's Tail. They say it's very steep, it's long, and they do have like yellow marks on the side. They say keep your tires inside that area. So it's nice that they mark it. Yeah, definitely not the steepest we've seen, but still pretty steep. And it's long too, so that's what makes it intimidating. I'm just walking the Escalator challenge, and this one actually looks harder than Hell's Gate. I mean, this is a pretty good climb up. I mean, it's over my head. I don't even know if I can climb up this thing. Yeah, I can't. I guess I didn't come this far just to come this far. Let's at least put tires on it. Definitely more nervous for this than Hell's Gate. This looks like it's definitely the harder obstacle of the two. Like I said, I couldn't even climb this on foot. So we'll see how the Gladiator does. Just gonna slow crawl it. Got both lockers on. .35, 36, 36 degree pitch right there. That is nuts. Wow. Stay in it. Stay on the throttle. Woo! Oh man. That was crazy. Wow, we did it. All right, Escalator, definitely not for the faint of heart. Like I said, we got right up it, but it was a little touch and go there for a second. I mean, we one-shotted it, but man. So I would definitely not do that if you're a beginner. I probably wouldn't want to do it in a short wheelbase vehicle either. I feel like the longer wheelbase really helped me out in that one. I stayed in the throttle. I had both lockers on. I'm aired down to 18 PSI. I had it in 4 low first gear. I did touch my slider over on that side over there. Overall, it walked right up it, but man, it was pretty sketchy, not gonna lie. So according to the guidebook, the tip over challenge is supposed to be right up here as well. So like I said, we just got done with the Escalator, and then we have to loop back around to where the beginning of the Escalator is. So it is an obstacle that it can be bypassed. You don't have to do it. I would not recommend it for novice to, you know, someone that's got maybe like a mildly built rig. You know, I've seen other Gladiators do it, and I think the longer wheelbase does help going up that. With 2 of the 4 hard obstacles done, I made my way to the final extreme obstacle, Tip Over Challenge. All right guys, another major obstacle here. This one is called Tip Over Challenge. The first little climb up here doesn't look bad, but the second part of it looks super sketchy. It's a much steeper part, and when you get to the top, you gotta hang a right turn, and it gets really off camber. So I think it's gonna be all about tire placement and throttle control. All right, try to keep my driver's side tire down in this little hole. Stay on the throttle. On the throttle. Stay straight right here for a little bit. Ooh, that gets really tippy. Oh. Whew. It actually wasn't so bad. I feel like I say that at the end of every hard obstacle. Tip over challenge is done. Let's continue on the trail. So I was reading in that FunTreks book that this part of the trail, a lot of people will bypass or go around or basically take a shortcut and go out the same entrance that they came in, just because the very trail end of Hell's Revenge is really chewed up with rocks. Yeah, just it's a really bouncy ride. It's doable, but not not exactly. I don't know. It's fun. Just do it. Do the whole thing if you're gonna do it. With the town of Moab now in my sights, I knew the end of the trail was drawing near. With each ledge drop and subsequent slamming of the rock sliders, I was close to my goal of conquering the most iconic trail in Moab. Alright guys, and that is a wrap on Hell's Revenge. This was an amazing trail. I could see where it gets its reputation from. The Jeep Gladiator did amazing on this trail, especially for the optional harder stuff. Escalator, Hell's Gate, tip over challenge. The long wheelbase on the Gladiator really does help with that kind of stuff. So if you guys are on the fence about getting a Gladiator or a Wrangler for that matter, just do it. They're awesome vehicles. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. I will catch you guys in the next one.